simple random sampling in a type of probability sampling in which the researcher randomly selects a subset of participants from a population. Each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Data is then collected from as large a percentage as possible of this random subset. That means, ginagamit siya mostly ng mga researcher to select a random data and possible random subset. And yung word na sampling, isa siyang sample from a population. And usually, and this is a random sampling. Here's an overview of today's lesson. This method is the most straightforward of all the probability sampling methods, since it only involves a single random selection and requires a little advanced knowledge about the population. Because it uses a randomization, any researcher performed on this sample should have high internal and external validity and be a lower risk for researcher biases, like a sampling bias and selection bias. That means, ginagamitan rin siya ng advanced knowledge para sa gagamitin mong population. And here an example of random sampling. A simple random sample might consist of 25 employees, names, draw a random from a pool, 250 employees. As in, each employee is an equal chance of being selected. The sample in the case is randomly and the population is cases as 250 employees. That means 250 na employees, merong 25 randomly na employees na pwede kang makasama sa sample. And using simple random sampling when? So, kailan nga daw ba siya ginagamit? To draw a conclusion. Andun na yung keyword na to draw a conclusion about population using statistic. Simple random sampling is utilized because randomization is the greatest way to lessen the impact of any confounding variables, and it helps to assure good internal validity. So, mas ginagamit siya commonly para kumuha ng sample and to explain more and para mas ma-explain natin siya ng mas maayos at mas mabilis. In some cases, it might be more appropriate to use different type of probability sampling. We have a 3 probability sampling. This is symptomatic, stratified, cluster sampling. So, first is symptomatic sampling. What is systematic sampling? Involves choosing your sample based on a regular interval rather than a fully random selection. It can only be used when you don't have a complete list of population. And doon na yung keyword na you don't have a complete list of the population. That means, sa isang population, kung wala ka namang complete list, pwede mong gamitin tong symptomatic. For example, by selecting every 15 person on a list of the population, if the population is random order, this can be mitigate the benefits of simple random sampling. Andun na yung keyword na random. So, kapag hindi mo masyadong alam yung pagkakasunod-sunod, pwede mong gamitin to. And next is stratified sampling. And stratified sampling. Stratified sampling is appropriate when you want to ensure the specific characteristics are proportionally represented in the sample. Andun na yung word na specific and ensure characteristic. Ginagamit ito kapag gustong-gusto mo talagang ensure or dapat specific yung gagamitin mo. And wait lang. And there's more. And you split up your population in strata. For example, divide by gender or a race. And then randomly select from each subgroups. Andun yung word na gender or race. So example, this is example of stratified sample. A stratified sample is one of the ensures that subgroups of a given population are each inequality represented within the whole sample population of research study. For example, one might divide a sample from adults into subgroups by age, like 18 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and 60 and above. And this is, ito naman yung cluster sampling. So, what is a cluster sampling? It's appropriate when you are unable to sample from the entire population. You divide sample in the cluster that approximately reflect the whole population and then choose your sample from a random selection of this cluster. And these are example of cluster sampling. An example of single-stage cluster sampling, an NGO wants to create a sample of girls across 5 neighboring towns to provide education. Using single-stage sampling, the NGO randomly select towns, 2 for a sample, and extend help to the other deprived of education in those towns. And this is the end of my discussion, and I hope you learned something. Thank you.